What up, people? This is Sweep the Rack podcast for the people. Rob, say what's up.
What's good, peeps?
We got some clips here for you, people. Some of the best parts of our various shows that we've put out. So enjoy the clip here, and we'll catch you on the other side to wrap up. Here, Bill. You have me blocked on Twitter. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. Why am I blocked on Twitter? Why am I on probation? Tell the people.
You're a troll. You're an internet troll, and so you got to pay a punishment for that. You know, I can't be. You know, you got 12 followers, and I'm one of them. So I'm like 8% of your total follower count. And so if you're out there just, you know, talking trash to every person that I know online and telling everybody how bad they are, and they click on your followers, and I'm one of them, they're, hey, what's up with your boy? So I had to shut that down.
Feel you. So really, the specifics of the reason that I got blocked on Twitter was for, and I told the story last week, so the listeners probably heard it, but generally I was making a comment that alluded to Chris Barnes not being a very clutch player. And Bill, I'll give you a second to respond to that and give me your position on that and let the people hear it.
Oh, right now? Oh, I thought you were going to go in. Okay.
No,
Okay. Right. So you took a shot at Chris Barnes and his your perceived his lack of clutchness. We've always had this argument about, because you give him zero credit when he does anything well and 100% of hate when he doesn't, which is obviously unfair and ridiculous. But that's your stance, and so then you took to Twitter to mock him while his kid was doing something. So you got to go. Yeah, this is it. It's pretty simple.
So we had a discussion earlier in the show on a previous episode where Rob and I discussed whose name we would not want to come out of a hat if we had a shot for $1 million, and Rob named Chris Barnes. And I actually said, well, now I have to name someone different because you took my answer, kind of. So Rob shares in this viewpoint with me as another fan of bowling and as an educated fan of bowling. So I just want to throw that out there. And I kind of want to ask, like, is that going to get Rob blocked on Twitter?
No, because he's not going after the guy's family. So,
No. I praised his son. His son hit a hell of a jumper, buzzer beater. I mean, it was an amazing shot. But, you know, I said his son was way more clutch than Dad. That means the son is really clutch, compliment. Dad, not so clutch. All right, so maybe not a compliment to him. I understand it, but you know, okay, I get it. This is
what a way to say that. Not a compliment. That is quite a movement of the post there. But well done. Not
this
a
is
compliment.
What makes it tough to be a fan and a friend. So this is the position we're in, Rob. This is where we're at. Bill, we have a deep history with you, Bill. Rob and I. We've been friends for a long time. We grew up together, bowling JVTs, bowling with each other, bowling against each other. You and I bowled high school competition against each other because we lived in the same area. So we wanted to get into our history a little bit and just, you know, part of us doing this podcast, as you know, is just to bring out some of the stories in bowling and some of the characters in bowling. So we wanted to get into a couple stories just from our past, and I wanted to share one or two, and Rob did too. And if you want to jump in, by all means, that's why we had you on. But we definitely wanted to talk about that a little bit. So the first story that I'll throw out there, even though I have to premise the story by saying this, what I'm about to say may or may not be true. So I'm not saying this actually happened. I'm just saying that it possibly happened, but I could be making all this up. So no one out there can hold this against any of us in any way, shape, or form, because, again, this could be totally hypothetical. But hypothetically, there may have been a time where, Bill, you and myself and Joe Paluzik and Tommy Haig and Ryan Snyder may have traveled up to Brooklyn to bowl what was referred to as the brackets on Friday nights at Gil Hodges Lanes. Again, hypothetically, you know, and this would have been while we were bowling the JVT circuit, et cetera. And we went on this trip. I remember the drive basically being terrifying. Was one thing that I remember about that experience. And we went and we bowled the brackets with Rob and his crew at Gil Hodges. And one of the people that was there bowling that night was Joe Tusa. You know, rest in peace to Joe Tusa, obviously passed away recently. And I remember that Tommy Haig called. Him and I were bowling on the same pair as Tusa, and Tusa was shooting the lights out, and he looked to be like 60 years old, even though I think he was 40 at the time. And Tommy Haig said to him, "Oh man, you're a beast." And Tusa, not realizing that us calling someone a beast was actually a compliment, he took it as an insult and almost physically attacked Tommy Haig to the point where I had to kind of back Tommy Haig off and make sure that there wasn't going to be physical violence like somebody getting stabbed with something from the snack bar. But do you recall that experience as well? What do you recall from that story?
I don't remember like specific details like you do, but I was thinking just give everybody a frame of reference. Tommy Haig was about 6'2", right? I don't know, he's a pretty big guy. Joe Tusa is all 5'4", 110 pounds. So just thinking about them getting in an altercation, and Joe, Joe was like your New York guy, your stereotypical New York guy. He took everything as a slight to him. So he was on the offense that night, just trying to.
Oh, he was ready to give it to him.
Trying to make sure no one took shots at his reputation or anything, because he was he was a lefty guy who threw it straight, so he always had a chip on his shoulder because he didn't think anybody ever respected him. So he thought he getting disrespected while he was taking everybody's money.
Rob, you have any recollections of when we made that trip up there?
So, Bill, what you're saying is New Yorkers, everybody takes. So I'm offended by that, Bill, that you said that.
You have a superiority complex.
I remember you guys coming up a lot. I mean, hypothetically, right? You did or you didn't come up a lot, but Friday night practice. We've been out of juniors for 20 plus years. I don't think we can get our youth membership revoked if we say we were kids and we bowled for money. I don't think that's I don't think anything can happen at this point.
Well, I can assure everyone out there that if we were allowed to have waivers from our parents, we would have had waivers from our parents, no question. I may or may not have bowled as a young high school bowler in local King of the Hills in South Jersey under the name Michael Mornock. I may have done that. I may not have, but I may have. But I assure you I would have had my dad's signature on a waiver if I did. These kids today...
You didn't even switch up your first name?
No. I thought it was more... Yeah, it was more conspicuous. Yeah, definitely.
I used to bowl high school matches at the same bowling center at 5 p.m. and then bowl brackets 5 hours later. So,
this is part of what made us good, though, is it not?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Like bowling for money when you're 16 or 15 years old until 3 a.m. and then going to WOHOP and then bowling a junior tournament Saturday morning. On 2 hours of
exactly
sleep.
What we did. Listen, the next day we bowled Wallington. We bowled the tournament at Wallington Lanes, and we all went over. And I remember this event really well because here's what happened. The next day I woke up and something happened with my contacts where I couldn't put my one contact in it, like it infected my eye or something. And I had to bowl the next day with one contact in, and I missed the cut. And I had to drive home with Paluzik, and he was a nervous wreck because I had to take the other contact out on the way home because my other eye was bothering me. And I ended up just following a U-Haul truck all the way down the New Jersey Turnpike, and that's kind of how I guided myself home, even though I can only half-ass see because I didn't have my contacts in. And Paluzik was a nervous wreck the whole ride. I think I may have been part of the reason. That may have been part of the reason he was never one to get his license, et cetera. But yeah, that was a crazy weekend for me. That was an absolutely crazy weekend for me. So between Tommy Haig almost getting stabbed by Joe Tusa and getting the bowl brackets at Gil Hodges in Brooklyn with my boy, and just the whole trip up there, and me having the contact issue the next day and the ride home, yeah, it was like not the greatest weekend, but definitely a weekend that I remember. So, that's one story for our listeners out there. But Rob, what direction do you want to take us in here?
I'm going to fast forward to college bowling. IBC's I think it was sophomore or junior, probably junior year. We're bowling Western Illinois, and I know Bill remembers this match. We're in best of 7, final 4 to TV show. So we're in the match before the TV show, and we're in game 1. And Bill is our anchor, and he needs to get up and mark to win our game 1. and he gets up and he ring tens, and I probably, if I was a betting man at that moment, I would say Bill's probably, I mean, he let's just say he probably didn't miss a 10-pin probably in 3 years, and he got up and, he tripped on his third step and fell literally on the lane. I mean, it was, I don't think you even made it to the foul line, Bill. I don't think so, right? And then the ball ended up in the gutter, literally at the arrows. But the funny part about the story is game 2, we ended up losing, obviously, by I think like 1 or 2 pins. Game 2, Bill gets up in the second game and needs a mark to win, and he leaves a 10-pin again, and he gets up and he aces it, and he turns around and he starts yelling, "Not again, not again." He's yelling at Western Illinois. We ended up losing in 7, so I still blame Bill till this day for me not bowling on TV and winning a national title. So thanks, Bill. Appreciate that.
Is there a question in there?
No, that was
story.
Oh.
That was just
okay.
story.
Well, let me just say that if you're going to tell the story and you're going to try to make fun of me, you should at least get it right. And I didn't trip. I used to go a little bit too aggressive to the foul line, and I used to throw it really hard. And I was going a little quick, and I slipped, and I just literally, my feet went like out from under me as I slid. And the ball did, in fact, go in the gutter. It would have definitely made it past the arrows, but I didn't trip over myself and fall down. I slipped.
Hey,
and Rob, I would tell a memorable story about something that you did when we bowled college, but there wouldn't be one moment that really stood out. So I'm not really sure I could add anything here.
Well, Bill, you had some, like, honestly, and I'm not cracking on you with this, but in your career, some of the times where you were bowling for like big team championships, you had issues with fouling and foul line issues. Like that happened in the Catholic League matches too. Yes.
Yeah, I fouled a couple times. I used to go hard. And I used to wear those limbs with the circle soles at the bottom, and they used to wear pretty quick. And if I wasn't on top of that, they'd get that tube out. Remember that tube the Linz had with the little circles in there? And, and I used to have them, and I used to book it to the line, and sometimes I got a little aggressive, and so
Bill,
the approach couldn't hold me. I was heavy too, so I was heavy, and I used to run to the line. There was a lot of downhill movement there. It's like a semi on the highway trying to slam on the brakes. It takes a minute. Sometimes I used to go a little hard.
Wide load on the back, yeah?
Mike,
absolutely.
Mike, do you remember Bill's nickname in high school for when we were out in the juniors? Before the real deal thing came in, which I was never a supporter of that nickname. Do you remember what his real nickname was?
Well, like, first of all, I was the king. I've always been the king of giving nicknames amongst people that I hung out with, etc. I have some classic stories about nicknames. People often had numerous nicknames, but one nickname that people around me referred to Bill as was Eddie Munster. That was one nickname. Is that the one you're referring to, or no?
No. It had to do with how he threw the ball.
Oh, Buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw Bill Oneill. That's what we called him.
Yeah. Yep. I still consider that to be his nickname. I don't know where this real deal shit came from, but as far as I'm concerned, Buzzsaw, man. When I see him throw the ball, I think, whew, Buzzsaw, baby.
Yo, his rev rate in high school and college was like double what his rev rate is now. The tour made these guys soft, seriously. But now these days, Bill, do you wish you had that rev rate back from high school bowling now?
Is this an interview or a roast?
No, it's not a roast. No, man,
I ask it. I mean, are we going to get to a question at any point, or are we just going to roast me? And what are we doing here? I mean, I'll sit. I'll go sit in a chair in my room, and I'll sit there and pretend like I'm on the dais for a roast. I'll do it if you need me to.
We're trying to bring out some character and some of the stories in bowling. I mean, these are good stories that we have to tell. We want to get them out there. Sure.
I will say that my rev rate did increase quite a bit in high school, and even though you guys don't want to compliment me, I'm going to compliment Rob here and say that Rob was one of the reasons why I had to get a higher rev rate when I was in high school. I used to throw it like dead straight, like real straight. And so I practiced, and I started to improve my rev rate a little bit because I couldn't beat guys like Rob. And then, unfortunately for him, I got a rev rate, and then that was it.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that clip. Mike and Rob just wrapping up for you here. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and obviously, Rob, they want to give us a follow on social media, too.
Yes, sir. Sweep the Rack on Twitter, Sweep the Rack on Instagram, and Sweep the Rack Bowling Podcast on YouTube.
If you want to reach out to us as well, hit us up, sweeptherack@gmail.com. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.